The NBA has a huge problem on its hand. Hi, my name is Emmanuel Camia and you're watching League Talk. If you are new to this channel, I make YouTube videos with the hottest basketball takes. And if you watch this video and you like some of this content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a like. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And aside from that, let's jump into this video. This huge problem that the NBA has, of course, is the, you guessed it, COVID-19 vaccine. It has become a very hot topic in recent months, ever since it came out. And some people have turned this whole ordeal into a political talking point, while it is not a political talking point. The COVID-19 vaccine is not a matter of politics, it's a matter of science and medicine. And the smart players in the NBA, and the NBA being a smart organization, and the NFL, and literally every sporting league, and that is why some of the smartest players in those leagues have opted to take this vaccine. LeBron James being one of those players. LeBron came out and he said he took the vaccine because he thought it was the best thing for himself, his team, and most importantly, his family, of which I applaud LeBron. I'm glad LeBron took the stance because he is the face of the league. He moves as the league moves. What he does, players will follow suit. The league today is more mobile because LeBron decided to be more mobile when he went down to South Beach from Cleveland. So I really appreciate LeBron taking this matter into his hand and setting a tone for the rest of the NBA, and other stars have followed suit. Other prominent stars, you could say secondary faces of the league, Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry, have all joined in and they have all taken the COVID-19 vaccine. In fact, 90% of the players in the NBA have taken the vaccine. But this hasn't stopped a lot of players still from being a nuisance to their teammates, their organization, and the NBA. These handful of players have opted not to get the vaccine for whatever reasons they may have. The reasons stem from conspiracy theories to God knows where. These players are the most notable players being Bradley Beal, Andrew Wiggins, and most notably, Kyrie Irving. Speaking of Kyrie Irving, I am not surprised that Kyrie opted to go down this path of being controversial and neglecting the vaccine. In fact, anti-vaxxers such as Kyrie and other anti-vaxxers all across the world always have the stupidest reasons as to why they should not get vaccinated. Andrew Wiggins asked the NBA if he could be exempt from the vaccine for religious purposes, something I suspect was just a ploy for him to actually just not take the vaccine because of whatever preconceived notions he might have against the vaccine. But the NBA saw through this, as everyone did, as you all reasonable thinking human beings have thought through this. They did not grant him that request, and in fact he is at the center of the most controversial spots to not be vaccinated. He lives in San Francisco, and San Francisco and New York are one of the most controversial spots right now in terms of sports. Although Bradley Beal has come out and he said he's not getting the vaccine, it doesn't affect him as much as it affects the players playing in San Francisco or Brooklyn or New York or the state of New York or New York City, because the city of New York and San Francisco have now implemented vaccine mandates. You will not be able to attend major gatherings such as sporting events, going to bars, whatever, unless you've been vaccinated. And some people are calling this controlling, but I think it is very necessary that this happens because New York was one of the cities that was hit the worst when the pandemic first started. New York, across the world, not just the United States, literally across the world, New York was one of the epicenters, not just because of its sheer population, but the sheer population density. The amount of people packed into a tiny space is enormous. It's incredible, and it is the perfect melting spot for a virus such as COVID-19 or any virus to spread like wildfire, and that it did when the pandemics first started. And the city, the people of New York, the government of New York saw what happened when the pandemic first started, and they are trying to avert what happened back then when the pandemic started by implementing this vaccine mandate. They're saying, okay, well, we saw the havoc this virus can wreak. We have the means to stop it, and we are going to stop it because we will be hit the hardest if people fail to jump on board of this vaccine. And like I was saying, these anti-vaxxers always have the dumbest reasons as to why they should not get vaccinated. Like Kyrie, for instance. They stem from conspiracy theories. They'll go online and they'll read stuff and they'll believe everything they see online. Oh, the government wants to put poison inside of me. How absurd, how preposterous is that? And you, dear viewer, I want you to think about this for a second. These people who insist that the government or somehow every pathologist, every scientist around the world is out to get them, is out to inject them with poison. First, you have to ask why. Why would they want to do that to you? Second, you have to ask, why now? You've taken multiple vaccines when you were growing up. Multiple. Kyrie, for instance, has taken a number of medication. Kyrie has gone under the knife more times than I can count. He's done so much surgery. Every time they've sedated him, guess what goes into his body? Substances he does not understand. Right? Kyrie growing up was given all the shots that you and I took. The polio vaccine, the smallpox vaccine. He didn't understand exactly how they worked. And the same thing that is happening right now with the COVID vaccine has happened before. We've seen this in the past before. When the Spanish flu happened, there was mandates for vaccine. When the polio epidemic was a thing, when smallpox was a thing, and the brave scientists that discovered the cure to this thing in the form of vaccines, when they discovered this cure, the country, the government, the United States immediately made it a priority to get as many people vaccinated as possible to curb what could have been a lot of people dying. That's what could have been. And people were lining up to get the polio vaccine. People were lining up to get the smallpox vaccine. Me growing up, you growing up, we all took the vaccine. I took the vaccines when I was in school. I'm fine. And the reason why it really pisses me off for Kyrie the most is because Kyrie is known to be a conspiracy theorist. This is the same guy that came out and said the earth is flat. Kyrie strikes me as someone who's going to believe conspiracies on TikTok. He'll go on TikTok, he'll jump down a rabbit hole and believe everything he sees. So I'm not surprised that he is questioning the vaccine that literally every scientist, every medical professional, and literally the same doctors that gave him his surgery, that he goes to when his body is not functioning well and he can't play at a high level. Those same doctors are telling him this thing is safe. Every doctor is telling you this thing is safe. Yet people would rather believe what's on the internet instead of their first of line primary care physician. It makes no sense. The logic, whatever logic they use to conclude that somehow, some way, someone around the world out to get them makes no sense. Think about it for a second. Think about this for a second. Why would multi-billion-dollar corporations such as the NFL, NBA, and MLB, right, allow, if the vaccine was what people say it was, a poison that's going to poison your body, that's going to cripple you, that's going to give you X, Y, and Z, that's going to give you blood clots, that's going to, you name it. Why would these mega corporations, because that's what they are, the NBA, NFL, MLB, they are billion-dollar organizations. Why would they allow their cash cows in LeBron James, Tom Brady, and Stephen Curry to go get these vaccines that could put them at risk? Because LeBron's a cash cow for the NBA. He breaks in a lot of money. Same with Stephen Curry, same with Kevin Durant. Why would the NBA let them take those vaccines if they were in fact poisoned that were going to poison their body? That would hurt the NBA's bottom line. It makes no logical sense. These vaccines were made by thousands of scientists around the world working together. Not just one country, working together. That's how we were able to get this vaccine so fast, because thousands of scientists were at work, all collaborating with each other. In order for them to conceal this thing, to conceal a poison that's gonna poison your body, thousands of scientists all across the world with different interests would have to collaborate together to hide this. It makes no literal sense, right? And Kyrie to take this position especially pisses me off because he's always been someone that's been a detriment to whatever locker room he's in. It first started in Cleveland. He does not like LeBron being the first man, the number one. He feels he's better than LeBron. He needs to be the big man. Causes a bunch of commotion, goes to Boston. He promises the Boston Celtics fan base that he will sign with them. Then goes on to say he doesn't owe them anything and then spites some of their players, right? Then he goes to Brooklyn. He undermines his head coach Steve Nash and says he and Kevin Durant do not need to be coached, they can coach themselves. Completely undermines the locker room, completely undermines the coaching staff. Then last year, he takes a week off without telling the organization to go party with his sister for her 31st birthday in the middle of a pandemic, which he was rightfully fined for. So Kyrie taking this stance, it's so on brand. It's so on brand. He always feels the needs to be at the center of controversy. Whether it was last year in the pandemic when the NBA was losing tons of money, millions of dollars, and they had to set up the bubble, the NBA bubble. They set it up. Kyrie was one of the first proponents to come out and say, oh, let's not set it up. Made all this commotion, and he didn't even play in it. He made all this noise, didn't even plan it. So he's always had this need to be at the center of controversy. I don't know what it is. So it's just very on brand for him to just derail everything. And now he's becoming a very detriment to his own team because he will not be able to play at his home games if he doesn't get the vaccine. And your home games are half your games. That matters, right? That makes a huge dent on the organization's prospects of making the finals, right? So you're being extremely selfish. These vaccines are to protect families. These vaccines are to protect people. And I encourage NBA players to scrutinize and hold their counterparts accountable for not taking the vaccine and for spreading false rhetoric. And several prominent media personnel have come out and they have actually condemned these actions. One of them being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I applaud him because he came out and he said, quote, "There is no room for players willing to risk the health and lives of their teammates, the staff, and the fans simply because they are unable to grasp the seriousness of the situation or do the necessary research." And I couldn't have said it better. Whatever information you have, it's wrong about the vaccine. You simply just don't understand how vaccines work. People say, oh, the vaccine isn't 100% guaranteed. Yes, duh, that's how vaccines work. That's how any medication works. Why do you think some bacteria become resistant to antibiotics? No medication has 100% chance of working. That's not how vaccines work. Regular vaccines, the way that they work, they shoot a dead virus into your body so your body knows how to fight the virus so that when a live virus comes in your body, the virus recognizes it. But that's not 100% that's gonna happen. That's how vaccines work. That's how medication works. Yes, you simply just don't understand how this thing works. Nobody's trying to put a poison inside of you, right? And furthermore, Kendall Perkins came out and he said the same thing and encouraging. He said, quote, "If any of the players have questions about the vaccination and the severity of what we're up against, ask Karl-Anthony Towns." Because Karl-Anthony Towns last year in April 2020 lost his mother to COVID-19 like millions of people around the world. It's not a joke. It's not a matter of personal preference or X, Y, and Z. This is something serious. Go get the vaccine. It's not gonna kill you. Nobody's trying to kill you. You're not that guy. You're not that special. If LeBron can get the vaccine, if Tom Brady can get the vaccines, Patrick Mahomes, these guys breaking billions of dollars for the NFL and for the NBA. If they can get the vaccine and the NBA and the NFL knows that these guys are a cash cow and we want the best for them, we don't want them hurt or anything. What makes you think you're so much more special? Come on, like go get the vaccine. Right? And I'm glad that the NBA is taking a stance on this because the NBA came out and they said that any players who miss games due to the New York and San Francisco vaccine mandates will not be paid. I applaud that. I want that to happen because jeopardize yourself at your own bag. Jeopardize yourself at your own money. You want to lose out on this generational type money? You go right ahead. And so those were my thoughts on the vaccine. And if you guys are watching this and you're unvaccinated, go get the vaccine. Nobody's trying to hurt you. We're just trying to get the world back to normal. Much more smarter people than you and I know more about this thing and they tell you it's safe. Nobody's trying to conspire against you, okay? So those are just my thoughts on the video. And if you like the video and if you like more NBA content, if you like controversial, hot NBA takes, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And I'm glad you watched this video. I'm thankful for you guys. Until next time, kids.